The mafia preferred shadows. Names whispered. Faces forgotten. Power worked best when no one was sure who held it. Al Capone destroyed that rule. He didn't hide. He didn't deny. He smiled for cameras. Shook hands with reporters. Gave money to the poor and bullets to anyone who crossed him. While others ruled from back rooms, Al Capone ruled the front page. He didn't just run organized crime. He turned it into spectacle. And in doing so he made himself impossible to ignore. The world would remember his name. Even when it finally erased him. Alphonse Gabriel Capone was born in 1899, in Brooklyn, New York, to Italian immigrant parents chasing the American promise. They found overcrowded streets, tenement buildings, and schools that taught discipline with fists. Capone was intelligent, quick-witted, but explosive. At 14, he struck a teacher. He never returned to school. The streets became his classroom. And violence, his first language. Capone joined the 5 Points gang, where crime wasn't a choice. It was a career path. This is where he learned his most important lesson: fear alone wasn't enough. Reputation mattered. In his late teens, Capone worked as a bouncer at a Brooklyn bar. One night, he insulted a woman. Her brother didn't argue. He pulled a knife. 3 deep slashes across Capone's face. The scars never faded. And neither did the lesson. Capone hated the nickname Scarface. But the world loved it. From that moment on, Capone understood something crucial. Image could be weaponized. And if the world was going to look at him, he would control what they saw. In 1920, America outlawed alcohol. And accidentally created an empire. Capone moved to Chicago to work for Johnny Torrio, a man who believed crime should be run like a business. Together, they built bootlegging operations, brothels, and gambling house in a scale the country had never seen. Capone wasn't the strategist. He was the enforcer. The presence. The threat. When Torrio was nearly assassinated, he stepped away. Capone didn't hesitate. He took over. Chicago didn't resist. It surrendered. Power attracts enemies. And Capone believed in removing them permanently. In 1929, 7 men associated with rival boss Bugs Moran were lined up against a wall. Men dressed as police opened fire. No witnesses. No mercy. No doubt. Capone was in Florida at the time. An alibi wrapped in blood. The massacre shocked the nation. And sealed Capone's legend. He had crossed a line. The government could no longer pretend he was untouchable. Despite countless murders, bribes and criminal enterprises, Al Capone was never convicted for violence. He lived openly. Lavishly. Fearlessly. Reporters followed him. Photographs documented him. Crowds admired him. To some, he was a monster. To others, a folk hero. Capone fed the poor during the Great Depression. Opened soup kitchens. Donated publicly. But charity didn't erase the bodies. And the government changed tactics. If they couldn't prove murder, they'd count money. In 1931, Al Capone was arrested. Not for killing. Not for ordering executions. For tax evasion. The empire collapsed under paperwork. Capone was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. The most powerful criminal in America reduced to a number. He was sent to Alcatraz. Isolated. Monitored. Stripped of influence. And something else was eating him alive. Capone had untreated syphilis. A slow, irreversible enemy. In prison, His mind deteriorated. Memory faded. Paranoia set in. The man who once controlled Chicago could no longer control himself. By the time he was released, Al Capone was gone. Only a shell remained. Al Capone died in 1947, at age 48. Not in a shootout. Not behind bars. But confused. Broken. Forgotten. The man who made crime famous was remembered, but never feared again. Al Capone proved something dangerous. Power doesn't need secrecy. It needs attention. He showed the world that crime could be public, that violence could be branded, and that fame itself could protect you for a while. But fame attracts enemies, and systems always outlive personalities. Capone didn't lose because he was weak. He lost because he was visible. The spotlight that made him immortal is the same one that destroyed him. If you enjoyed this story, like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned. More true stories are coming soon.